to. Alright, hello folks, we're gonna add some sound here so people can hear the sound of the game. And this will probably be a pretty short stream. We're going to do the House of Man and Crocodile. And this is a pretty fun area of the game, though it was really hard before, so we're going to see if it's still very hard. I am standing on top of the statue. We can take a look at this cool idol and talk about a neat place to use in your games. Here's the view from the scrying stone. An enormous idol of a man carrying a crocodile, surrounded by Yuan-Ti. That's a version that's a little different than the actual published adventure, but it's a pretty cool looking place. And there is a way to jump up there and catch that scrying stone, which is pretty neat. And we are not going to fight the Yuan-Ti around it. We're going to go inside to do part of the quest. There is a piece of lore about this that's kind of fun, if you look at our Chult lore, which is that let's say this stream does have a little bit of spoilers in that the adventure talks about some of this history, but the interior of this is very different. It'll involve a boss that is part of the overall storyline for the actual published D&D adventure, but and the lore comes from it in various ways, but this is different than what actually happens in the adventure book. So if you really don't want any spoilers at all, skip this. If you're okay with some concepts being applied in different ways, then this is probably cool for you. Or if you already played it, then no worries at all. Or if you're a Dungeon Master. So this tells us the story of the House of the Crocodile, or House of the Man and Crocodile, which is that a man is afraid to cross the river. The crocodile says, "Hey, I will let you ride on my back," and then at the far end, after having helped them through, says, "You know what, I'm afraid of going around the world," and thus convinces this person to carry them all over the world, to see the world. And so the man is to carry the crocodile all over the place. One of those fun sort of fables that can be neat to drop on characters, and a reminder that it's neat to have those kinds of big lore pieces in your game. This area we're going into is sort of a little mini dungeon. It's just going to be me, no other players will come in on us, so it's a little instance. It is loosely based on the adventure. The adventure itself, this is an area of traps, and it's really quite fun. I had a blast running this for my friends. But this time is the first time we're running it, and so because of that, it will be sort of special. After that, you run it, and it's a lot easier. So we'll see how well we do at surviving. I am running my Paladin, which is a decent character, but it's not one of my stronger ones, so, you know, it's fine. And we'll see what happens here. Alright, look at that, Yuan-Ti. So we will fight these guys. Love the shadow effects that the game has, really nicely done. As we talked about on the last stream, there's some really nice interiors to these ruins. Quite fun to look at, you know, holes in the ground or in the ceiling like that, letting shafts of light through. Super cool. A giant hand summoned by Yuan-Ti. As I often mention, this game has a lot of 4th edition to it and its elements, and so the monsters tend to do kind of cool creative things that are very impressive to look at. There's a good feel for the monster capabilities. Gone through the first chamber, and look, illusions and scything blades. Pretty cool. Not only are there scything blades, but there are giant scorpions waiting for you. So that's kind of a trap that they get you with. You've got your scything blade, but also your your scorpion. Now you can time it, or you can sort of go around it. It's not the end of the world if you get hit by it, but it's kind of fun. This room did sometimes bug, so I'm not sure if it will still or not. There are a number of traps in it, so they tried to preserve those elements of the many traps in the adventure. In the adventure itself, it's not a place that's really about fighting critters, but they want to combine here sort of several things. They do a little bit of combining the area that has all the Yuan-Ti in it with this area. More Yuan-Ti. Drop some holy auras on them. Paladin my way out of this mess. I don't know if you heard that, but it's kind of cool. So when you defeat them, then you hear the rumbling of these stones as something moves in the complex. And this area, if you take the area I'm looking at right now, is was sealed off before, and so as I do one thing, it opens up. Another nice look at the idol. This is a cool idea, right? Idol holding up the ceiling with these braziers and looking like it's really grunting and bearing the weight. So kind of cool. I can go up these steps. Fun jeweled pillars and things like that. And fighting on uneven terrain is always awesome. So you've got steps and some creatures below, some creatures above. That's kind of fun. I like that kind of fight. When I'm designing fights, I like to use height a lot. And when I play these kind of games, I think about that sort of stuff because it's cool to be a nerd. And let's see. Pause here a second. Yeah. By the way, there are miniatures for Chult in addition to the adventure. I reviewed those on my blog. They're some of my favorite minis. One of my favorite sets that WizKids has done. Something I really like about that set of miniatures is that it's a really good job of helping you add cool miniatures that you don't have already and that you want to have to run an adventure. And I feel like too often there's been like one or two, well, not one or two, but there are a handful of minis that you're like, yeah, these are new and in whatever adventure. Look at those pits, that's pretty cool. Fall, you die, and you respawn. So you'll have these elements, these miniatures that are a handful of them that you're like, yeah, I need that for the adventure, but maybe they're not super critical. And they did a really good job for this set of having miniatures for Chult be ones that you really want to use in your adventure. And so I was very happy to have them when I ran the adventure. I'm going to be doing some mini reviews on the blog coming up pretty soon. Alright, so here we are. This is our sort of boss fight. And look, it's Rasmus C. So if you know the storyline. So Rasmus C is bringing back Dendar. Talked about this last time. So this is, bad. We got to stop Dendar from swallowing the world. That's definitely not something we want. This fight was really brutal when we first did it. I'm going to see how bad it is now. Characters have gotten stronger, but when we first used to play this was like, you would bring your friends to do it because soloing it was extremely hard. I should trigger my artifacts. Guardian here. One of the things that the game does, well, and it's not, unique as better, is the game prepares you for future channels, or challenges, I should say. So in later parts of the game, you have a big dungeon, and in that dungeon, you've got to do some things that are mechanics to it that are like the mechanics in this battle. And I'm not going to spoil that in case people want to keep that quiet. As I said before, there are videos of that fight out there if you want to see what those fights are. The more of the Acererak stuff, you can do that. looks like we're doing fine. I'm not really having any health issues here. I'm out of divinity, which is a mechanic that is unique to this game. But that's good. I'm not being careful about it. Oh, probably about that. Stay out of red zones. Big success. Every now and then I do that. We'll slam with it. There we go. Yeah, did it. And now we get a fun reveal here, unique to the Neverwinter storyline.
This will not do. I have this. Well done. I did not expect you to defeat Rasnisi. As a reward, I will restore your friend to her. Now, I dare you to enter my tomb, mortals. Great riches await you if you survive.
I think this is pretty cool. Nice job of sort of mashing two parts of the adventure together, and then combining both the Chult storylines and the storyline for the game itself, Neverwinter. So, you know, if you saw in the previous video where Celeste, or the first Chult video where Celeste had become undead and there was no way to bring her back because of the as a mortal because of the death curse. So Acererak not only does he sort of whisks away Rasnisi and in sort of trade for whatever reason, because you know that's the way he operates, he brings back Celeste and then challenges you to go to the tomb, which is I guess the actual reason why he brought her back.
Truly alive, not some undead creature. I don't know why that lich did such a thing, especially after defeating one of his lieutenants. Does he think this whole thing is a game?
So that's kind of neat. You know, my friends and I in our guild, Harbingers, we enjoyed this. We thought it was a pretty neat part of the story. You know, you had to restore the idol of Yuan-Ti. That's kind of neat. You know, they do some nice jobs. Right? So this is the symbol of Yuan-Ti, which is a maze of concentric circles. It's based on a lot of nice history that's used in D&D and in Mesoamerican culture. So a really fun idea. And we're going to now leave the House of the Crocodile. We'll go back to the town just in case. I forget if there are any kind of good cutscenes that talk about the story of this. Actually, walking around Port Nyanzaru, there's some fun, not quite Easter eggs, but kind of Easter eggs. You might have seen that in that screenshot there, that you can see the 9 gods, the trickster gods, are actually depicted in this central bazaar, which is kind of cool. So around the marketplace, you can see, you know, Ankh and Eugene and all of them there. And similarly, we can go here to where there's a shrine, and this is a shrine to Yuan-Ti. We can see the maze pattern there that we saw before. So it's pretty neat, pretty nicely done. Let's see, Wakanga Otamu, Merchant Prince, has a quest for us. That's just normal stuff. So just gonna see before we end the stream whether there's anything else story-wise that ties in. But it's a nice piece of progress. As I explained last time, you get to go through sort of first-time quests that give you a neat piece of the story, and then those become repeatable things that you do to kind of advance the campaign.
Salone, protect us. Ah, it is good to see you again, my friend. I'm glad you made it back safely from the House of the Crocodile.
In this version of the story, we've got that shrine, that temple of the House of Man and Crocodile was a shrine to Yuan-Ti, and so by restoring it, sanctifying it, now we're aware of what the Yuan-Ti are up to, trying to bring back Dendar the Night Serpent, and Rasnisi is in league with Acererak, so it all kind of comes together in the Neverwinter version of this. Which is kind of cool, which gets us towards our next task to do in the campaign. As you can see, this unlocks it as a repeatable quest.
Much better, thank you. I had faith.
Celeste's been through a lot, but now she's alive and continues to sort of figure out what to do here to stop Acererak. And I think that might be everything we have here. Let me see if I can advance the campaign at all. No, so I've completed this part of the campaign. This last part I've already done in previous characters, so automatically unlocks, and this is what unlocks the Tomb of the Nine Gods dungeon that you can look up online if you're interested in. And the rest of my story now takes us to Omu. So if I find some interesting things in Omu, I might do a last Chult stream about that, but it's been fun to do this. Let's see, I do see a question. Is this where the Adamantine Chef competition is? Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Come for that. I am actually, one of the reasons I do these streams is to try to get a little bit better at the streaming process overall, and so I've been thinking about doing some non-MMO streams, and I may do that later. But for this week, this is everything. If you have some questions about the lore of Chult or other parts of the Neverwinter game and how it does, how it brings D&D to life, let us know. Send a message either on YouTube, on Twitch, or on my blog. You can always send me an email through that if you want to converse, or hit me up on Twitter at Alphastream, and we'll talk through everything. Appreciate it. Have fun, folks, and we'll see you next time.